Today I thought it quite fitting to speak about my first job. The first job I ever had. Because of the imminent collapse of Debenhams and Topshop and Miss Selfridge and the rest. That chain, Dorothy Perkins and everything. Well, the first job I ever had at the age of 15, actually. And the reason I was there at 15 was not because I left school technically early. It was because I was born in August. And so I was 6 months behind everyone else. But it also meant that I was a little bit, hadn't reached puberty yet maybe. I was a little late in developing. So anyway, so the first job, we go out on our first job, and this company, we did sound, light and video for the fashion shows, mainly. That was the main role. We kind of went out and did all the catwalk shows around London. And on this particular occasion, we had to set up in Harvey Nichols or Miss Selfridge or, you know, the ones in St Harrods. And we'd set up in one of the department stores in one of the levels, and we would do I think about 4 half-an-hour shows throughout the day, maybe a few more, maybe what, 5. Anyway, so the first day I'm there, I've set up my. I think we had it all fitted in the back of a Range Rover. So we had 4 tannoy speakers, and we had a bunch of redheads, which are kind of little lights, and a couple of blondes, conveniently called, which were also kind of spotlights. And we set these all up, and Roger, my boss, says to me, he says, "Okay, well, obviously one of your first jobs is T-boy. So what you got to do is go and get me and Dave and a cup of coffee, please, from backstage. The coffee's just round the back there. It's on a tray." Okay, I said no problem, and so I go along backstage, and now back then most of the models were coat hangers, I guess you'd say. You know, nothing special. They just walked around and wore these clothes, and it didn't mean anything to me, except for this one model who, there was a film years ago when I was also the same age, and it was called Weird Science, and it was about this, they made this computerized perfect woman, and anyway, if you could have a perfect woman, this woman was her. Her name was Goody as well, which was quite amazing. But unfortunately, we did actually have to do her video for her wedding, which was gutting at the time that we had to do the wedding. So anyway, going back to the story. So I was there. I started to pour this coffee backstage, and Goody walks up to me, and she is only wearing the skimpiest of G-strings. I'm 15 years old. She comes over, all bubbly, and she puts her arm around me. She says, "Hi, Dan," she says, puts her arm around me and pushes my head into her breasts, and says, "How are you today?" And the coffee is going everywhere. "Oh, okay, Goody, thanks very much." I was like, you know, absolutely mortified that I was standing there, didn't know where to look, didn't know what to do. I would like to say that I was the most efficient T-boy that day, but actually it was the most embarrassing job I think I ever had. And it kind of went, it was a very, very strange role. I think the second job I had was second job with the company was we would set up in his bedroom for a video shoot. And we set up this video shoot for Dorothy Perkins, and it was the lingerie department. And so I find myself again standing in this bedroom with a whole load of, these ones were gorgeous models, wearing just see-through items of clothing. And my job was to sit there with a clipboard and write down what they were wearing and at what time frame it was on the video. Now, I didn't even know what it was called, so blue see-through thingy, 1 minute 30 to 1 minute 45, And I'm pretty sure that my list meant nothing to anybody, but it was just for their amusement of having me so embarrassed and sitting in a room looking at naked women all day at the age of 15. So we would set up in the store, and you would have the catwalk running there, and a few screens just cutting off the back area there. Fortunately for us, that's where the sound and the lighting desk went. I used to operate 8 lights on little faders, and Dave would operate the 2 reel-to-reel machines on the other side. But we were backstage behind this curtain, and so were all the models. And they would literally just come off stage, strip off in front of you, and run back on stage again. And it wouldn't faze them, they were just used to this. But for a 15-year-old, this was pretty big. Now, we had about an hour between each show, I think. And so the first one, there'd be champagne flowing at the shows as well, handed out to the audience and above. So, of course, we've got a little glass of champagne. Again, I'm 15, all right? So you have a few little sips. And then during the breaks, the models are like, well, look, we're going off to the wine bar. You fancy coming off to the wine bar? So we all pile into the wine bar, and they buy us a few drinks, and then we come back and we do the next show, and then we all pile off back to the wine bar again. And by the last show, with the amount of champagne at the shows and going to the wine bar in between, the models were literally falling off the catwalk on the last shift of the day. They were just walking down the road like this. So I thought it quite fitting to tell that story. 15 years old in the entertainment industry, or in the fashion industry, during the collapse of a company that, to be honest, started off my life, really, I guess, in some way or another.